If someone was to ask me what is normal, I don't think I could tell them because there is no one normal. What's normal for me is maybe abnormal for someone else, but what's normal for them might be different for me. Even, I'm sure when I watch this video and see myself doing stuff with my feet, I'll be like, that's so strange because I live that every day and, I see everyone doing things with their hands. So you kind of get in that mindset that you have hands and that you're doing everything that everyone else is doing. And it becomes that it's not a barrier anymore, but it's just a part of your life. How I treat my feet is very much like anyone would treat their hands. Because I use them that way, I decorate them that way too, like wearing nail polish or wearing rings on my toes and putting a watch on my ankle. Well, a typical work day for me would be I get up around 5:45 in the morning. Mornings can be a bit of a rush sometimes, especially if I sleep in, but I've been getting a little bit faster at doing things because I want to sleep more. Remember my mom told me a story one time when I was younger, when I'd eat cereal and if a Cheerio would fall out of the bowl, I would spend all my time trying to pick up a Cheerio while the rest of the Cheerios got soggy. But it was just so important for me to accomplish that. You give up, then it says a lot about yourself. I decided that's not the type of person I wanted to be, that I didn't want to give up, that I always wanted to put forth my best effort. And I think my childhood was very much like that when I had something that I had to overcome. And when I did overcome it, it was just a great feeling inside that I've accomplished something so big that to my friends was something so small for them. But for me, it was just another boost to my confidence and shaping the person who I've become. A couple of years ago, I participated in a documentary on feet. So I went and got my feet x-rayed, and I was told that my feet have changed. The toes are wider apart so that I can use them for grasping. If you look at someone else's feet, they have a hard time bending their toes like this, but because I've developed them that way that I can. And then also in the x-ray, it showed that the bone in my ankle had grown differently so that I could have this side-to-side motion. Most people's feet won't turn up like that, and that's kind of a motion that you would get with a wrist. And I don't have as much range of motion with my left foot because I've used my right foot for most things. And then the arch in my foot is also a lot higher because I was grabbing things and bending my foot around. I have many ways to do the same thing just so that if something happens, that I'll be able to still take care of myself. I'm always inventing. Just depends what the circumstance is what I have to do. Right now, I'm working for an energy generation and marketing company. I'm in the communications department as their communications coordinator. Basically, I'm the Jill of all trades. I really enjoy that it's very busy and high-paced. I find I get bored if I don't have enough on my plate. It really tested my ability to adapt to change and to be flexible. And definitely that's some skills that I've developed being an amputee. I took my communications degree at Mount Royal College in Calgary, Alberta, and I specialized in technical writing. I like the computer aspects of it. I use the computer every day, not necessarily programming, but I do use it to publish articles and using the technologies. I got my first computer from War Apps when I was 13 years old, going into grade 7 through the Jumpstart program. I was very excited about it that I got my own computer, and I was eager to learn how to use it. And I thought it was so neat because it had a CD-ROM. My friends from school would come to me to ask how to do something on the computer because they knew that I had those skills and I was able to help them that way. The Jumpstart program, I think, is really neat. It helped me get the first job that I got in an office, and it helped me with all the jobs I've gotten since because I could showcase those computer skills. Because if you can use a computer, there's no one saying that you're not capable enough to do it, because it doesn't matter how you use the computer. I use it with my feet. My colleagues use it with their hands, but we do the very same things.
Okay.
So along with the Jumpstart program, as I learned more about it, I learned that War App's philosophy around Jumpstart and being equipped with a computer was a great equalizer for an amputee. And I definitely see that, especially for multiple amputees, because you are limited to the types of jobs that you may be able to work at. And of course, I couldn't have done it without War App's help with their financial help. Completing my education definitely got me to where I was right now. Hello, Annae Jones speaking. Good, and you? Your proposal is coming along just fine. I have a first draft. You look great. You were bad. Yes. It's all on camera. I'm gonna tell him what you said.
I didn't really have to change many things to get used to dating Annae. Really, I didn't look at her as a different person. Because she didn't have any arms, it didn't bother me. But when it came to holding hands or putting my arm around her, I had to think of a couple of things. On our third date, I think it was, we went up to this park near Calgary here, and I just asked to put my arm around her because I wanted to put my arm around her, and of course she said yes. And then the next date after that, we went to a movie, and we were just watching a movie, and finally I looked down and I saw Annae's foot just up on her leg, kind of like how it is now. And it was a clue to me to grab her foot and hold her foot, and so it was just like holding hands.
Here, ducky. There you go.
I thought she was pretty, and the one thing that I was interested in most about Annae was her great attitude, and she has a great smile. Her nose kind of wrinkles up a little bit. There it goes, right there. And she just has a great spirit about her, and it just made me attracted to her.
He made me feel special and different, but not different meaning that I wasn't the same as him or not good enough. I was good enough just because I am Annae. The type of attitude that I've developed has really played an important part in how successful I've been and how happy I've been as an individual. One time when I was younger, my brother and his friend were playing basketball, and usually it didn't bother me that I couldn't participate the same way. But I remember this one time I felt so angry and jealous. Sometimes when you're an amputee, you just want even just one day to have a normal life, so to speak. You know, you just want that so badly. And I remember sitting there and just being so angry, and because of that anger, I felt really empty inside. And I decided there and then that I didn't want to feel that way. I wanted to be happy, and the only way that I could be happy was to choose to be happy. It doesn't matter what my circumstances were. You could have someone that has everything, so to speak, and they may not be happy because it's a choice. Happiness really is an attitude. Typically for a weekend, it's a little more relaxed. We can sleep in for a bit. But mostly Saturdays, we clean the house and do our laundry and all little errands. Someone's so used to having their arms and their legs, and it's hard for them to see how it could be done differently. And so I think that's really important for an amputee to show that it can be done differently and it can be done just as well. I think that really breaks down a lot of barriers and misconceptions that people have about disabilities, and particularly people with an amputation. There's been many times in my life where I could have been, excuse me, don't treat me that way, or don't say that. But instead, the best thing I found is to make a joke about it. It put people to ease. This guy came up to me one time. He had a pair of gloves in his hands, and he said, "Annae, are these your gloves?" And he totally had just forgotten that I didn't have any arms. And I'm like, "Sam, I don't wear gloves." And he's like, "Oh yeah," you know. And you could turn that situation around. I could have been like, "How could you? How insensitive of you." But that's never really crossed my mind to react that way. Yellow or green one or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, some time. I know they'll be coming pretty soon, so.
What kind of pepper do you think they'll like?
I think they'll like red. I know.
Since actually before Christmas. That's a bad part, son.
Right.
This looks good. It's a good one.
Yeah.
This one. Seems art.
Not cute? Look, her big eyes. We're just reminiscing, looking at some of your baby pictures.
Oh dear, why'd you take that one out?
It was pretty normal childhood. She sat up at about 5 months old. We were a little worried about the crawling part, but she did what Tom calls the bum scoot.
Yeah, she'd sort of sit up and then sort of shift.
And then she walked on her first birthday. We had some parents that were a little concerned that we didn't coddle her as much as they thought we should, you know, when she would fall and cut her lip when she was learning to walk. But we just kind of felt, can't do that because she's got to learn how to fall. And actually we did spend several afternoons pushing her down. We'd put lots of pillows around and teach her, you know, just keep pushing her down so that she learned to keep her head up when she fell.
And then it wasn't really until after she was 6 that we thought seriously about a prosthesis. Doctors sat us down and they said, the more of a limb that a child's missing, the less we can do for them. You know, we're going to fit her with an artificial arm and it's going to help her, but you have to be realistic in your expectations. And that was a great learning thing for us.
So the first artificial arm that they fitted her with was a right hook. She wore it for a little while. And then it was just too hot and too slow and just went back to her feet. But it was worth it because what'd she say to you in the mall?
She grabbed my hand and she said, this is the first time I got to hold hands with you, Daddy.
We kind of adopted the philosophy that we try and help Annae adjust to life in the world instead of trying to adjust the world to Annae.
She went to college. We were all worried about, you know, where she was going to stay and so forth. And they just happened to have these suites originally designed for wheelchairs right next to the college. It worked out really well. It was just like it was made for her. The counters were a little bit lower and everything.
It was hard to leave her, though, on that first day when we moved her in. You know, we were trying to get her all settled and everything. And now, are you sure everything's okay? And are you going to be okay? And all that kind of stuff. And, you know, finally, probably at 10 o'clock at night, she goes, go. I'm fine. I'll be okay. You know, and then you go home and like worry all night long. Is she be okay? Was she gonna get mugged in the parking lot? Or is she gonna be able to cope and deal with everything all by herself and cook all her meals and do all the social things that college students do? After a couple of weeks, we stopped worrying. She handled things beautifully.
When I was younger, I started to realize that I was an amputee, that all my friends around me had arms, and that I was different. And I remember going to my very first seminar and thinking, I'm the only one in the world like this. And then I get there, and there's all these other amputees around me, and I was so excited that I wasn't the only one. It was a break from life, a break from people staring, a break from people asking me questions how I do everything, or saying, wow, or, you know, kind of gawking over you. It was a break from all that. You were just treated like a normal person.
I just can't even imagine life without the Warhams. You have the love and support of your family and your community, but they still don't understand what you're going through. And we really did feel all alone until we went to the Champ seminar. And then it's like, wow, there's other people going through the same thing, perfect strangers. I could talk to them about things that I was feeling and struggles we were having.
I couldn't believe how good it was and how much the people in the Champs organization cared about the children and about the parents, but they especially cared about the children. And you really felt there was a camaraderie, and it was being like part of a family. Cliff Chatterton was just like a grandpa to them.
All right, you go ahead.
I always enjoyed the teen talk. Okay, we have to and being a junior counselor. When I was younger, I really admired them because they looked like they were these happy people and that they were doing well in their lives. And I always wanted to be one of them.
So how do you do it? You put the ball in the paddle like that?
And then as I moved into that role myself, it kind of came full circle where I was able to offer the advice and be that example to the younger amputees and show them that they could be happy and that they could be successful. I wish I could have to move into that role model was a great experience for me. Going to the child amputee seminars helped me realize that I'm okay just the way I am. When I was learning to ride a bicycle, I wanted so badly to ride a two-wheeler.
We had some kind of specialized tricycle or, high-tech type thing. And
I said, no, because I thought I'd just be too embarrassed to ride that kind of bike. And it wasn't actually until about grade 5 that we found a bicycle that worked, and it was a lot of trial and error.
it was actually Sharon, her mom, that came up with an idea on an adaptation to put on the handlebars. That was very simple and wasn't hard to make. And
Cost about $2.
yeah. You want to just try that and see if that's tight enough? Far too often we look for these really high-tech adaptations, and sometimes it's the simple adaptations that actually work better.
My parents would hold on to the back of the bicycle while I tried to pedal, and we had a lot of frustration. And finally, they told me,
Well, if you want to learn to ride the bike, then just learn it yourself.
I'm like, what? Okay.
She said, fine. And
I went outside, and we had a bit of a slope on our driveway, and so I had let myself coast on the driveway a little bit, just with my feet dragging on the ground a bit. And then as I got a little more brave, I'd add a couple pedals to it.
We'd sit at the kitchen window and just look out, and oh, she fell again. She's not crying, so she's not hurt. So she'd just get back up on there and try it again.
And then within a couple weeks of that practicing, I was riding it around the block.
I was like, Tom, Annae's riding her bike.
yeah.
I just remember how great I felt when I had overcome that obstacle. I remember the wind blowing through my hair, and I used to like to race my brother and sister around the acreages. For me, that was a big step towards my independence of growing up. Coming out of that age where you get a lot of help from other people and moving to a point where I was starting to do more on my own.
There was the bicycle learning driving, and then there was the car driving. Want Mom's perspective first? In a lot of ways, it was similar to learning to ride a bicycle.
When I was learning to drive, that was something that was very scary for me, and I wasn't sure. And of course, I had some obstacles of other people saying that I couldn't do it. But again, from the support of my parents and their belief that I could do it, a little bit of yelling at each other when I was making big mistakes on the road. But just that support and that confidence really helped me be that more determined to get my license.
I expected all these fancy adaptations to the car. And then when I told Annae I had all these ideas, she says, I don't want a car that has all these special things on it. I just want to be able to drive a car.
It wasn't necessary, but I got a smaller steering wheel, more like a racing car steering wheel in my Buick. But it has a little more grip on it, and it was a little bit easier for me to handle. The way I drive is I gas and brake with my left foot, and then I steer with my right foot. The signal light and the windshield wiper are on the left-hand side of the wheel. So when I was learning to drive, I found I needed some kind of extension there to reach.
It was a little scary at first. She didn't have really good control of steering, and she had to just practice and feel the control of the vehicle, learn like anybody else does.
They had the top examiner in the province give her her driver's test, and she passed with flying colors. I
remember driving from the registry, my dad in another car, and me in the car by myself was like, whoa, I'm driving all by myself. There's no one sitting beside me. And I was very nervous. I'm like, what if something happens, But on the other side, it was a great relief to know that I didn't need someone there holding my hand any longer, that I'd gotten the help that I needed. And now it was time for me to move on my own. Just that feeling of independence, an amazing feeling. I can't even really describe it. It's just, if I ever had that taken away, I think I would really feel that I've lost something. And I think that's sometimes how people feel that have an amputation, that they've lost something really valuable to them, even those that were born without limbs. In a sense, I have felt that before, where I felt that I've lost something, that I'm not complete. But as you succeed at various things in your life, you realize that you're as complete as anyone else, and you're as complete as you need to be. Although life might be a little bit different, it's very much ordinary, just like anyone else's. I feel really blessed to have had this disability for the things that I've learned from it, and it would be very selfish of me not to share that with other people.